Week 21 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I look to drop this week. The first guy, Jake Cronenworth of the San Diego Padres. So Cronenworth, he's going to be out for the season most likely after getting hit on the wrist with a fastball in that ball game versus the Brewers a few days ago. And now he's out with the right wrist fracture, and it just hasn't been that great of a year anyway here for Cronenworth. On the season, 10 home runs, 48 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, 54 runs scored at 229 average, and a 312 on base. So the power's been down this season, the RBI's been down, and now with this injury here, it's just more of an excuse for fantasy owners to drop him as well. And over the last couple weeks, no home runs, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored at 205 average, and a 244 on base. So right now owned in 50% of fantasy leagues. But like I said, with the broken wrist, he's most likely going to be out for the season. So the last few games before he went down, August 21st versus Miami, 1-for-4. August 22nd versus Miami, 1-for-3. August 23rd versus Miami, 0-for-4. And August 25th at the Brew Crew, 1-for-3. So right now, not a great year for Cronenworth, which he was a good player over the last few seasons. But I think next year, he definitely could bounce back. And he's got good versatility playing first, second, and short. But now with the injury down season for Cronenworth, he's a hitter I would drop this week. The next hitter is Wander Franco of the Tampa Bay Rays. So Wander Franco, like I said last week, he's probably not going to play another game this season. And even reports have said he's never going to play another game in the major leagues once again. So a great talent, no doubt about it. But off the field, no excuses for what's going on here with Wander Franco. And that obviously is a big thing going on where he shouldn't maybe see the field for the rest of his career. So on the season, 17 homers, 58 RBIs, 30 stolen bases, 65 runs scored at 281 average, and a 344 on base. And no doubt about it, he's a great talent, is Franco. He's one of the better fantasy players this season, but not him in trouble off the field here is Franco. And with reports coming out, he's most likely done for this season. But like I said, his career could be over. There's not really any reason, I think, for fantasy owners to hold on to him. I know some leagues have NA spots, and it's not going to hurt if you're going to hold him on the NA. But like I said, I just don't think he's coming back as Franco. And he should be dropped in more fantasy leagues. Still only 70% of fantasy leagues. But I don't think he comes back at all this season, and possibly ever in the major leagues, which is unfortunate, but you know, things happen. So right now, I would drop Franco this week. Next hit is O'Neal Cruz of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So O'Neal Cruz, we know he's been out for a while with the ankle injury, getting hurt, I believe, in mid-April. Still owned in 66% of fantasy leagues. But he's a hitter I would drop this week. He's been out since April with the ankle injury. I thought he would have been back by now. This Pirate team, they got nothing to play for. I know they want to see the young guys and what they got. But we know O'Neal Cruz is a blue chipper and one of the better players in the organization. So right now, it's unfortunate that a very young player like Cruz got hurt early in the season and we haven't seen him. But right now, he's not going to help fantasy owners this season. I get in some keeper and dynasty leagues, they're going to keep him, obviously. But redraft leagues, it's a no-brainer drop to me, because even if he does come back for a week or two, I don't think he's really going to have much impact for fantasy owners here. And if you need wins, and if you got some guys on short-term IL that could come back sooner than later, I'm not really going to waste a spot anymore on O'Neal Cruz. So right now, with all those factors playing in, and no doubt about it, he's a great talent. But it doesn't look like he's coming back at all this season. I would drop him this week. The next hit is Starling Marte of the New York Mets. So Starling Marte, he's starting to do some activity for his groin injury. But another team, like I mentioned, like the Pirates, the Mets have been out of it. They're trying to tank for a top pick in next season's draft, a top 5, top 6 pick, whatever the case may be. And Starling Marte, last season, it was a great year for him with the Mets. But injuries did him in late last season, where they collapsed in September and had to settle for a wild card. And this season, for the majority of the second half now, it's been an injury here for Marte. So on the season, 5 home runs, 28 RBIs, 24 stolen bases, a 248 average, and a 301 on base. So right now, Marte wasn't having a good year at all. This groin injury's definitely been a lingering thing. And he's even another guy, even if he comes back for a week or two, I don't think we're going to see much out of him, where he's going to pay dividends for fantasy owners and help this New York Met team, even though it's not about the wins here for this Met team for the remainder of the season. So with all those factors, Marte's an easy drop this week, and it's surprising to me he's still owned in 58% of fantasy leagues. And the fifth and final hitter I look to drop this week here is Kris Bryant of the Colorado Rockies. So Kris Bryant, I mentioned him as a drop over the last couple weeks, and he was one of their biggest signings in franchise history in terms of length and obviously money was Kris Bryant. But so far in his first 2 seasons, in my opinion, he's been a bust over there for this Colorado team. Last season, he only had 160 at-bats, 5 homers, 14 RBIs, and so far this year, 243 at-bats, 8 home runs, 23 RBIs, 27 runs, 51 average, and a 338 on base. So that's not getting the job done, obviously, for Kris Bryant. He still has 5 more seasons left on the contract. But right now, the latest reports are he's got rid of the splint off his fingers, Brian. But if it's not one thing, it's another. And the Rockies, just like the Mets and the Pirates mentioned early in the video, they are a team that's been way out of it, obviously. And I don't think they're going to rush Kris Bryant back just for a couple weeks here to see what he could do. They know what he's about, and they should just focus on getting him healthy. And hopefully next season he can play close to a full season. So right now with all those factors, and Bryant's been having 2 down years in a row with injuries and even performance right now in Colorado, he's not really a hitter I would stash and hold on to. And he's still surprisingly owned in 46% of fantasy leagues. So that's a few hitters I look to drop here in week 21 of the fantasy baseball season.